Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. You're watching NDTV. India has voted again, and there are just about 10 days left for the results of Lok Sabha 2024. Voting today took place in 58 seats across 7 states and 1 union territory. This was part of the 6th phase of the Lok Sabha election today. 57.7% polling has been registered till 5 p.m. today. Of course, we're waiting for the updated numbers. Delhi and Haryana voted in a single phase today. Delhi has also been loyal to Prime Minister Narendra Modi for the last 10 years while voting for the Aam Aadmi Party in the assembly polls. Will the BJP score a hat-trick this time? How will the tribal community of Jhargram vote in West Bengal? Why does West Bengal continue to see violence during polls? Will the speculated Jat anger and farmer unrest influence elections in Haryana? Will Odisha vote for a change or continuity? Many questions out there throughout the day. NDTV brought you ground reports from different constituencies of people voting and hoping to fulfill their aspirations through their right. And we will do the same thing in the course of the next 1 hour, make sense of how India voted in the 6th phase, what was the mood on the ground, and what can we expect politically. Joining us now is Vedant and Ishika, my colleagues who have been reporting extensively from the New Delhi constituencies. There are 7 seats in New Delhi, in Delhi, and all of the 7 seats voted today. Remember, Delhi has shown a preference for Prime Minister Narendra Modi when it comes to Lok Sabha elections. It has voted for the Aam Aadmi Party when it comes to the assembly polls. This time, Congress and Aam Aadmi Party are contesting as part of one alliance. Congress Party is contesting on 3 seats. Aam Aadmi Party is contesting on 4 seats. Vedant, to you first. Tell us what was the mood on ground today, and you also met a lot of Congress and Aam Aadmi Party leaders. How confident are they of this Jugalbandi working on ground?
Well, Vasudha, what a campaign it has been with Arvind Kejriwal's interim bail, then, a host of controversies from the Swati Maliwal case, Bibhav Kumar's arrest, and, a lot more. But on the ground, when we met voters, the issues continue to be, unemployment, joblessness, development, Viksit Bharat, the dominating national themes that we have seen across states, that those sort of resonated even with the voters of Delhi, which is why perhaps the Delhi voter votes differently when it comes to the assembly polls and the national elections. Now, as far as the alliance is concerned, well, Vasudha, there are a couple of constituencies that have thrown up a very interesting fight. Northeast Delhi remained the focus, with Kanhaiya Kumar being fielded against the only incumbent MP being repeated by the BJP. So that's an interesting battle to watch out for. Now, in the seats, and I've been saying this since yesterday, in the seats where there's a direct contest between the Aam Aadmi Party and the BJP, those are the seats to watch out for. Can the Aam Aadmi Party and, hence the India bloc actually gain via these 4 seats where there's a direct contest between the Aam Aadmi Party and the BJP? That is going to be very interesting to watch out for. As far as the alliance leaders are concerned, I spoke to a couple of ministers here in Delhi, also the BJP leaders, Basuri Swaraj, etc. But as far as the Aam Aadmi Party and Congress leaders are concerned, they are banking on, what is being called the sympathy factor for Arvind Kejriwal. And that seemed to have resonated with voters as well, and particularly sort of re-energized the core voter of the Aam Aadmi Party that perhaps votes in favor of Arvind Kejriwal's party in the assembly polls. A big concern, remember, and this is what we are picking up from the internal surveys and the internal meetings of the Aam Aadmi Party, that the dropping vote share of the Aam Aadmi Party, even in the assembly polls, that is something that the party has taken very seriously. Now, it was a very difficult time for the Aam Aadmi Party, a beleaguered cadre with its top leadership in jail, though of course he was released on bail. But of course, to mobilize the cadre on the ground, Arvind Kejriwal's last few days of campaigning have really helped. As far as the BJP is concerned, the BJP of course is banking on the larger national themes. It's also, Vasudha, very much a battle between guarantees. That is what that is the sense that we get from the ground, from Arvind Kejriwal's guarantees versus Modi guarantees. So, a couple of factors at play, but a victory in Delhi is key to the seat of power. So, that we'll see. But of course, the fate of 164 candidates and the 14 candidates really has been sealed today, Vasudha.
Right. We also have Saurabh Gupta joining us from Kolkata, from West Bengal, and we also have Gurpreet joining us from Chandigarh. Ishika, to you next. When it comes to New Delhi, the seven seats of Delhi, there are different cohorts which are considered very important, be it the traders of Chandni Chowk, be it the Gujars of South Delhi, be it the Purvanchali population of Northeast Delhi, Sikh population in Tilak Nagar. So how did you see the political parties reach out to these different catchment areas, because these are traditional vote banks? They have actually remained constant, but at the same time they've also moved between Lok Sabha and assembly polls, like Vedant was pointing out. So were there any specific things that you picked on, some shift, some swing happening in some of these very important vote bases?
Well, Vasudha, as you rightly pointed out, there in fact is, a certain set of, community in all of these constituency. Like you pointed out, if we talk about Chandni Chowk, it is in fact, the traders who continue to dominate there. So there, in fact, we did see how the BJP, first of all, it fielded Praveen Khandelwal, who has been a trader. In fact, he has been the president of a trader association for long. He was fielded by the BJP, and then, he held various programs with all of these trader unions to gain their support in these elections. Now, as you rightly mentioned, if we talk about the other constituency as well, if we talk about the Northeast, there certainly the number of Purvanchalis is more there, and that is why we saw, it was Manoj Tiwari who is the incumbent from the BJP, and against him it was the India Bloc candidate Kanhaiya Kumar. Both of them, trying to woo the voters, both of them trying to establish, they reach out to the Purvanchali voters. In fact, we did see that both of them, in fact, held chopals, other charchas, these street chopals also, with all of these people trying to woo all of these voters. And not just that, even if you look at the campaigning that was done by the BJP and the India Bloc leaders, we talk about the BJP, the other states, chief ministers and ex-chief ministers were also brought here for the campaigning, only because all of these community can, their support can be guaranteed to their candidates. So, in fact, it was all clear since their campaigning itself, not just the campaigning, in fact, from the fielding of the candidates itself, it was clear as to how all of these parties, especially in fact if we talk about the BJP and the India Bloc alliance, were trying their best to reach out to the voters community and in fact trying to get as much support as they can in this election. Over to you.
Right. Thank you, Ishika, for joining us. Let me go across to Tanishka, who joins us from Gurugram. Tell us, what is the situation in Haryana? Because that is a state where there is a keen contest. Haryana also is preparing for assembly elections later this year. The government there is also facing problems. But of course, we have a new chief minister there, and BJP is ensuring that the government stays put there. So what kind of sentiment was visible on ground today, even as all 10 seats of Haryana polled today in the midst of speculations of farmer unrest and also Jat anger in some ways affecting the electoral prospects?
Right, so Gurugram traditionally is known to be a constituency where citizens don't really vote. The voter turnout generally is very low, but as of 6 p.m. the voter turnout was 60.5%, which is not bad for Gurugram considering of its, conflicting urban and rural population. 55% of Gurugram and its citizens are people who live in rural areas, are people who earn meager incomes from contractual farming, gig economy. So the general theme that the sentiment of the voters there was very mixed. At some pockets there were very good voter turnouts. These were specifically in the rural areas where the voters spoke more about issues of job opportunities, about expenses, about employment. These were the key issues that were highlighted by the voters in rural areas, whereas when you move to the city areas, in Gurugram city areas, in urban voters had more apathy. Some were a little more indifferent to the elections, and the heat also played a huge factor in this. Almost at around 3 p.m. People did not come out to vote at all. Almost, like, most of the booths were empty. There were just several queues there. However, coming back to the point that the urban voters were raising were infrastructural issues. They're bothered with the sanitation, with the infrastructure, the roads, the waterlogging, and all of this brings us back to the fact that this is a key contest it's a tussle between the native versus the outsider. This is what the battle is in Gurugram. The native being the image of Rao Inderjeet Singh, who's the BJP candidate and who is prominently known as the Ahir leader, or as he belongs to the Yadav community. Now, we must note is that Ahirs form 18 to 20% of the vote bank in Gurugram, whereas Congress has fielded Raj Babbar as its first non-Yadav candidate in a bid to appeal to the Punjabi community in Gurugram, as Babbar also hails from the Punjabi community. So this is what the major scenario looks like in Gurugram. Rao Inderjeet Singh is very confident about his win in his constituency, as he has been a sitting MP for the last 3 terms in row, and Raj Babbar seems positive in his campaigning.
Okay, let me go across to Gurpreet. Gurpreet, do you see the same sentiment in Chandigarh? Of course, Haryana voted today, but Punjab is all set to vote, next week, and the Prime Minister has been having these trailblazers in Punjab, because he's been having back-to-back rallies there, and the BJP seems to be quite insistent that it really wants to make a mark in Punjab, despite the Akali Dal walking away from the alliance.
Well, yes, we have seen back-to-back rallies are being held by the Prime Minister Narendra Modi in Punjab, and specifically we have seen the BJP is concentrating on the urban seats, whether it's a Patiala rally which is being held by the Prime Minister, whether it's a rally which was organized at Dinanagar in district Gurdaspur, where we have seen that most of the urban population is staying, and same situation is in Jalandhar also. Somewhere down the lane, it seems after parting away from Shiromani Akali Dal, BJP is keeping an eye on the urban voters, because they feel they will be able to leave a lot of impact. Whether we have seen the new turncoat from Congress, Ravneet Bittu, he has been given a seat from Ludhiana constituency, that is the urban seat also. So as of now, we have seen the farmer protest was an epicenter in Punjab and Haryana, and that is one of the main challenge for the BJP to settle down these farmers, because they feel they were not being heard by the BJP government, and there is a lot of resentment. So somewhere down the lane, in the speeches of the Prime Minister also, we have also seen so many times the Prime Minister has spoken in favor of farmers. He has already stated so many efforts have already been done by the NDA government to elevate the future of the farmers, and same thing will be happening again. But at the same time, if we can talk about the rural area, yes, of course, what we can understand, there is a challenge before the BJP party also, but at the same time, because Jat dominated area has been divided, these votes have been divided into multiple, whether it's multiple parties, whether it's Akali Dal, Congress and Aam Aadmi Party. So let's see after the result, things will be clear. Same thing we have also observed in Haryana also, because we have been covering Karnal constituency, that is Punjabi dominated area, from where ML Khattar, the former Chief Minister of Haryana, he was contesting from the BJP seat, and he was contesting as a BJP candidate. We have seen the Congress was trying to give a youth leader against the former Chief Minister of Haryana, ML Khattar. So today, when we interacted a lot of people, they were talking about the development issue, they were talking about the national security issue, they were talking about how the things will be moving in the coming days. But as of now, it seems in the urban area, even in Haryana also, they are getting a lot of support. And let's see, because if we can feel even in this heat waves, we have seen this voting had been continued, and the people, they are very proactive for casting their votes.
So Haryana is keenly watched because of the contest there. Thank you, Gurpreet. Let me ask Saurabh Gupta. Saurabh Gupta, thank you so much for waiting for so long. Also, you know, we're talking about Jangal Mahal and we're talking about Jhargram today, and these are the seats that voted, of course, the bastions of Suvendu Adhikari, which in some ways will also decide the kind of future that he has in the BJP. You know, in 2021, the TMC actually did much better than 2019 in these areas, which is, of course, you know, Purulia and Bankura and all these places with a significant ST population. But in 2019, this is where the BJP made huge gains. How do you think the tribal factor in the sixth phase of elections is going to impact the overall result?
Well, there are different opinions based on who you speak to, but if you speak to the Trinamool, they say that their initiatives for the tribal population in the tribal areas will pay dividend, and in the last 5 years they worked at it. If you look at the BJP will say, look at the OBCs and the OBC issue, and you know there is always this issue that the Calcutta High Court has kind of ignited with the cancellation of those OBC certificates. So there are different points of view, different opinions. But the tribal vote belt is something that the Trinamool has now also concentrated on. Purulia, Bankura, Bishnupur, Jhargram are seats where the Trinamool is looking at making some gains. Meanwhile, if you look at Kathi and Tumluk, which were seats with the Trinamool, because Shubhendu Adhikari, like you said, his stronghold went to polls today, was at that time with the Trinamool. Now, Kathi and Tumluk may perhaps come in the BJP's kitty. The BJP is looking to win both these seats. Now, then you have Mednipur, where the BJP has changed its candidate. Dilip Ghosh has been replaced. He's gone to Bardhaman Durgapur, but he's been replaced with Ognimitra Paul, who's again a firebrand leader, but again, someone who didn't really have a base in this constituency. And then you also have Ghatal, where the Trinamool is very confident that Deepak Adhikari or Dev, the popular actor, will pull it off. In fact, Hiran Moy Chattopadhyay faced a lot of protests today. But all of us who were watching these elections, we thought that, you know, Bengal was slowly and steadily moving away from this culture of violence during elections. And for the first 5 phases, even though there was some violence in Asansol, etc., Bardhaman Durgapur, etc., it seemed that finally there was some slow and steady change. But the phase 6 has brought back the old memories of elections with a lot of violence. In Jhargram and Gorbeta, the Jhargram seat, the BJP candidate was chased by, with stones, etc. And the Trinamool says it was because the security personnel of this candidate misbehaved with a woman who was standing in line to, vote. So you have allegations and counter allegations, but unfortunately, violence seems to have made a comeback in this 6th phase of elections. Bengal, like you know, votes in all 7 phases.
Right. Thank you, Saurabh Gupta, for joining us. Over to you, Aishwarya. You know, when I look at the seats of Delhi, I see there are at least, 2 to 3 seats which could actually see a little bit of contest. You know, when it comes to Chandni Chowk, there's Praveen Khandelwal, against JP Agarwal. JP Agarwal is seen as a veteran leader. There's Babal Mishra contesting against Kamaljeet Sehrawat in West Delhi. But of course, the focus of all attention in Delhi campaign was Northeast Delhi with Kanhaiya Kumar, contesting against Manoj Tiwari. Manoj Tiwari is the only candidate that the BJP has repeated. So how do you see these 3 battles specifically and the one in Northeast Delhi? Because that also had a lot of interest and color because Kanhaiya Kumar started crowdsourcing, there was an attack on him. Manoj Tiwari was also lively, colorful. So that was one campaign that all of us followed, isn't it?
Well, certainly, Vasudha, and you and me have spoken with Manoj Tiwari in Parliament, in and out. He's a 2-term MP and the only one who the Bharatiya Janata Party had given a ticket one more time out of the 7 candidates. Only Manoj Tiwari was the one who was lucky enough to get another sort of ticket, and this was a Bihari contest. Specifically, if we talk about the Northeast constituency, Kanhaiya Kumar also campaigned in and out in the entire constituency. It was Manoj Tiwari also who had hit out at different occasions on Kanhaiya Kumar, calling him a member of a Tukde Tukde gang, and also calling his was, and remembering his old videos where, he stated that Ram Temple was once built on why Ram Temple was not built. In fact, there were several videos that were circulated by the Bharatiya Janata Party unit as well. So very interesting contest, in fact, in northeast Delhi between Manoj Tiwari and Kanhaiya Kumar was seen today. Interestingly, it was 58.30%, the voter turnout in northeast. And when we travelled all across the constituency, specifically on the areas which was affected by the Delhi riots, large number of people came out, and we saw long queues in the polling stations as well. People, remember, it's 34% minority voters over there, specifically Muslim voters. So those places people had come out in large numbers as well. Of course, Yamuna Vihar and other areas adjoining to it had a BJP core voter to it, but certainly it would be very interesting to see that how this high voter turnout will be seen between the Bharatiya, between whether this will fall on the side of the Bharatiya Janata Party or Kanhaiya Kumar. Although it was last time Manoj Tiwari who was not standing in northeast, but it was an East Delhi constituency where Manoj Tiwari won with a huge margin. But this time it is northeast. Remember, in 2019 it was Gautam Gambhir who won with a huge margin, and that was called a Modi wave. But this time, because Aam Aadmi Party and Congress Party are sharing the combined vote percentage, how that will create an impact. When we spoke to voters out there in that constituency, it was certainly all about the national issues this time. It has been always said that Delhi voters are very smart. They vote for the national picture and the general elections come, and when it comes to the assembly elections, they goes for the local issues of Bijli and Pani, and therefore Aam Aadmi Party had gained a lot of momentum out there. And just in few months now, Delhi will go into assembly polls as well, and the voters there clearly stating that we will be deciding on what factors we need to vote as far as the assembly polls are concerned, which are upcoming. But this time it is the national issues, it is the stable government that they want in center for the development and progressive and the progress of the national capital. But interestingly, in and around the northeast constituency as well, there were several other seats which saw a tough contest. Specifically, when you talk about Chandni Chowk area, then it was Praveen Khandelwal, one of the major face. If we talk about the Traders Association, had a lot of nukkad sabhas over there. But Arvind Kejriwal on their side as well, while he came out on interim bail, it was him campaigning in different part of the national capital, specifically in the central Delhi as well. So, where this higher vote percentage will shift is something that remains to be seen. A very interesting battle has turned out. For the very first time, Aam Aadmi Party and Congress joined hands together against the Bharatiya Janata Party. We spoke to top leaders of the BJP today as well. They were very confident and stated that they are going to repeat what happened in 2019 and 2014, 7 out of 7 in their favor.
So the unique characteristic of Delhi is to, of course, have this distinction of knowing what is a national election and what is an election for local issues. Thank you, Tanishq, for those details. As an update, 59.06 is the updated polling percentage that has come from the ECI. To Nazir first. Before that, Tanishq also joins us from Uttar Pradesh. Nazir, after Srinagar and Baramulla, now Anantnag Rajouri has also shown a lot of swift polling. So this is also the first election happening in Jammu Kashmir after the abrogation of Article 370. Are there any predictions? Did you pick up something about what people are feeling about future elections?
Well, that's perhaps every voter who voted today was talking about, because it was after a long gap people could come out and vote today. They expressed themselves. All these men for last few months, Kashmir's politics actually revised. It was in a state of suspended animation, and for the first time we could see all these years people coming out, dancing, shouting slogans, campaigning for different parties. And today, finally, it was the final phase of polling in Jammu and Kashmir today. Voted in great numbers. Some segments actually had moderate voting like Anantnag, some segments in Anantnag, but overall it was more than 50% voting in the constituency. It could be around 55%. We are waiting for the final figures. This was a three-cornered contest. Mehbooba Mufti's fate has been decided by the people. After polling, she has alleged tactical rigging. She termed the elections as discredited process and blamed J&K's Lieutenant Governor for that and says what else could be you call it other than tactical rigging when her political workers and the polling agents were detained by the police. Some of them were released later in the day, but she said it has impacted the voting and she said it was a tactical rigging in these elections. Having said that, there's no such allegation by other parties except Apni party, which is backed by the BJP. They too have said their workers were also detained. Police have said some of the OGWs who were threat to the election process have been detained. But Mehbooba Mufti then saying, look, their youth general secretary, one among them was also an OGW. So how can you bring local youth into mainstream politics when you call them OGWs? But this election was in many ways very, very fascinating. Not just people came out in great numbers, reposed their faith in democracy, in politics, be it Baramulla, Srinagar, or now Anantnag. Remember in 2019, just 9% people had voted, just 9% people. And today, wherever we went, people were in long queues waiting for their turn to cast the vote. In the afternoon, I met J&K, para cricket teams, captain Amir Hussain. He also came and voted and say he is coming and voting for the development and the progress. We normally people who get the ink mark on our finger, but he had on his toes.
Right.
So because he does everything, whether he balls or so this is what that represented the sentiment on the ground for the elections, for the democracy, which clearly shows while the opposition here is saying, look, people are coming out in great numbers to vote, to register their protest against abrogation of 370, but the BJP is saying, look, it is because of the abrogation, this is the first election which has happened without any boycott call by separatists or any shadow of violence, which is a fact. One of the most peaceful elections. I have been covering elections in Jammu and Kashmir since 1996.
Right.
But I have never seen such a peaceful, participative election in Jammu and Kashmir, whatever may be the reason, and that depends which side of the fence you are. But one thing, these 2 months were fascinating, remarkable. People expressed themselves. The silence, stoic silence, was replaced by the noise of democracy in Jammu and Kashmir. Perhaps nothing can be better than this. Now people are actually waiting for assembly election because this has been the longest gap. Last assembly elections were held in 2014. It
Right.
is now 10 years.
Right.
People are still
so
waiting.
battle of
to vote
narratives
for
there,
that
but clearly
local
so many
government.
people coming out and voting in the valley, nothing more heartening than that. To you, Tanish, you're reporting from Lucknow. 14 seats in UP voted today. 9 of them were won by the BJP last time in 2019. And BSP and Samajwadi Party had contested together. And I remember that Purvanchal is a lot about these small swings, small parties. So why is the opposition so confident of making a dent in the BJP's electoral prospects this time?
Well, of course, Vasudha, as you rightly said, that this phase in phase 6 out of the 14 seats, the BJP managed to win only 9. So this was if you see all the phases, this was the least number of this phase is the phase where the BJP has won the least number of seats in 2019. So of course, the opposition's hopes were high, but I would like to also come to the voter turnout part because we were of course talking about the voter turnout. In Ambedkar Nagar, of course, there was a high voter turnout, around 61%, strong voter turnout in Ambedkar Nagar. But at the same point of time, the urban constituencies like Allahabad, that saw a low voter turnout. So in the Prayagraj district, there are 2 Lok Sabha constituencies, Allahabad and Phulpur. Both of them perhaps saw the lowest voter turnout, around 50%. So of course, that is a matter of concern. I saw a lot of senior citizens coming out to vote in, of course, extreme heat as well. So, but yes, opposition is looking to make dent this time, especially because the India bloc is together. They are hoping that the transfer of votes will take place between the Samajwadi Party and the Congress, because in today from Ujjwal Raman Singh, who was once a Samajwadi Party leader, joined the Congress after their alliance was announced. But right now the focus shift also on the 7th phase, and I'm right now in Varanasi, where of course that seat will be a key focus in the upcoming phase as well. Phase 7 today also we saw a rally versus roadshow, rally of Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath here in Varanasi and a roadshow of Priyanka Gandhi, Dimple Yadav together in support of their candidate Ajay Rai from here. Yes.
Right. Thank you so much, all of you, for joining me on this show. Clearly, there is a lot more political activity expected next week with key states of Punjab and Himachal Pradesh, and of course, the Prime Minister's constituency of Varanasi and the seats of Kolkata voting in the last phase on the 1st of June. 59.06% voter turnout has been recorded till 7 p.m. today as part of the 6th phase of elections. Time for a short break. More news and updates on the other side. Welcome back. 59.06% voter turnout has been recorded till 7 p.m. Voting, of course, has concluded in 58 seats across 6 states and 2 union territories in the 6th and the second last phase of the Lok Sabha elections. Delhi and Haryana have voted in a single phase. All 7 seats of Delhi and all 10 seats of Haryana voted today. In Bihar and Bengal, there are 8 seats that were in the fray, 4 in Jharkhand, 14 in Uttar Pradesh, 6 in Odisha, and the final seat in Jammu and Kashmir, Anantnag Rajouri, was also part of the voting that took place today. Election, of course, has been completed in 486 of the 543 Lok Sabha seats. This phase is completely crucial for the NDA, which, if it wants to keep its score of 400 plus target intact, it needs to win almost all seats. Last time, the BJP alone won 40 of the 58 constituencies. 5 other seats were won by its allies. To talk about all that happened today, how are the elections looking and how are they shaping for the final results, we have Ashok Malik, who's a political commentator, and also Sandeep Shastri with us. Thank you, Professor Shastri and Mr. Malik, for joining us on NDTV. Mr. Malik, to you first. Sir, in the morning, I was in South Delhi, and I did feel that a lot of people, even in working class and even lower middle class populations, did talk about this one thing, Bharat ka rising stature. So that is one thing that they kept talking about. So tell me, how different was voting for you in Delhi this time, and what are the things that you sort of observed?
I noticed one thing. I voted in the same constituency today as I did in 2014. In 2019, I voted in another constituency. In 2014, which was an election with a lot of fervor and energy, I tend to vote very early. There was a big crowd. I turned up at 7 o'clock in the morning in 2014, or 7:15. There was already a crowd there. Today, I turned up at 7:15 again. There was also an appreciable crowd. There were people from middle class homes and upper class homes. There were people from a working class background also. So the crowd was good. Perhaps the crowd came in early to beat the heat also. Okay. That's also a factor. In terms of Mr. Modi's appeal, it's certainly the strongest thing going for the BJP. Okay. It's not an easy election across the country. I'm not talking about just Delhi here. It's not even Delhi. It's not an easy election. The Congress AAP alliance in at least a couple of seats is causing problems. Across the country, this is not an easy election. You have to mobilize voters in the heat, plus get them to vote for the third term. And the BJP is, some candidates in the BJP are facing pushback. The BJP has had to change 132 candidates up to 303 sitting MPs. But what is still working for the BJP is Mr. Modi's credibility. And I think that is what is really carrying the BJP in what is a gritty and tough election. Right. It's almost state by state, region by region, in some cases seat by seat. Right. It's certainly not the easy election which a lot of people imagined in January or February. It's a tough election. Right. But Mr. Modi's credibility is really carrying his party.
Right. And it's interesting because the contest seems to have been created by people of the country and not really the opposition in some ways, because, let me take this question to Professor Shastri. A lot of us, Professor Shastri, have observed that, when it comes to synergy between the opposition allies, that there seems to be something missing, because, you don't see Rahul Gandhi sharing stage with Arvind Kejriwal. You don't see him addressing joint rallies with Tejasvi Yadav. Mallikarjun Kharge has been to Bihar so many times, but, he's not really campaigning for the RJD candidates. Even in UP, they had separate press conferences, Arvind Kejriwal and Mallikarjun Kharge, then Akhilesh Yadav and Mallikarjun Kharge. So clearly there seems to be some, problems, not just problems, maybe some lack of coordination or synergy within the opposition allies. Do you think that is something that can impact the way this opposition alliance is supposed to work?
Vasudha, your fully right in what you said. When this campaign started, the opposition alliance was very clear that we don't want to make this a leadership fight, because they realized that they would be on the defensive if they made it a leadership fight. And they said it's a fight on issues, on strategies, on alternatives and policies. Now, did we see that playing out in a uniform way across the various phases of the campaign? I don't think so. We did have talk of alternatives, we did have talk of strategies, we did have talk of policies, but they were in bits and pieces across the country and in different voices. Should we have had a joint manifesto issued? Yes, we should. Should there have been more joint campaigns of the opposition? Yes, we should have had. I think the strategy of the opposition to challenge the government on issues, strategies and policies was right, but we actually do not see it playing out in the way it should play out in the campaign that we have seen in the different rounds of the polling till now.
Mr. Malik, would you like to respond to that? Do you also feel the same?
Yeah, I do certainly feel the same. I mean, to be fair to the opposition, faced with the personality of Mr. Modi, and even if the BJP has, the people have misgivings over the BJP, and they may well do in many states and many seats, the sheer personality and credibility of the Prime Minister remains very, very high and remains almost infallible, I would say. And I think the opposition was conscious that if it made too much of an attack on that personality, things would backfire. So it tried to make the election more local, more state by state. Rather than a national manifesto, it went into state by state battles and tried to make the battle local, which from his point of view was probably more sensible. And in a sense tried to make it Modi versus the individual candidate from in all 543 or over 400 seats. So that was the strategy the opposition has followed, and the opposition's biggest aim to this target really remains trying to get the BJP below 272. I don't think they'll succeed in that. I think the BJP is on course probably to get a majority, but and well above that perhaps. But the opposition's entire strategy has been to make this election more local. Absolutely. So in that sense, a national manifesto may have been part of, or not having a national manifesto may have been part of that plan.
Right. Professor Shastri, there are three states that are being keenly watched. One is Odisha, one is, of course, the other is West Bengal and Telangana, because there is a certain speculation here that if the BJP loses some seats in Karnataka or Rajasthan, these are the three states that it would be like sort of compensating with. Now, I'll come to Telangana a bit later, and Odisha is what Mr. Malik did speak about it last time, and he said that, there needs to be a certain critical mass that the BJP needs to build. I want to also ask him if this is the year that's going to be that year for the BJP. But tell me, how do you see the campaign in West Bengal and Odisha? Because in Odisha, BJP is fighting a friend, a friend turned foe. And, Naveen Patnaik also has this support of women, almost 7 lakh women. So how is that going to play out electorally? And, there are assembly elections and Lok Sabha elections, both have happened in Odisha. So clearly last time there was a split voting, but this time BJD has given this call of, a double Shanko. So Jodi Shanko is what they say. How do you see the battle in Odisha shaping up, and do you see that changing this time?
Vasudha, you are very right in saying that the strategic calculations seem to be that the gains in Telangana, the gains in Odisha would hopefully compensate for the possible challenges in Karnataka and Maharashtra. And of course, any performance in West Bengal, I thought they would see it as a bonus. So there is very clearly a relationship between what was strategized for these states. Now, coming specifically to Odisha, Vasudha, as you rightly said, if you look at 2014 to now, the Biju Janata Dal was always somebody the BJP relied on when it needed support of parties outside the NDA. And this time around, the shrillness of the campaign that we have seen between the BJP and the Biju Janata Dal has not been seen in the previous elections. And this is because I think the BJP is very keen to be able to do better in the parliament elections, because they are hoping that Odisha would be one state which would allow them to compensate for possible losses elsewhere.
Right.
Now, one more small point on Odisha, Vasudha. This is a state, as we all know, which goes to the polls simultaneously. And I have yet to see an example across the country where in a simultaneous poll, when voters have voted on two EVMs, one after the other, there being a dramatic difference in terms of how people voted.
Okay.
They may have voted more for one party in the Lok Sabha than for the other in the assembly, but a dramatic turnaround of verdicts in the Lok Sabha and the assembly is something we have not seen in a simultaneous poll.
Right.
So Odisha would be interesting to watch, because many people would believe the state assembly polls, the Biju Janata Dal is doing better, and maybe the BJP is doing marginally better than what it did last time in the Lok Sabha poll. But then this hope for a split verdict in Odisha, if it were to happen, it would be historic and has never happened in a simultaneous poll in the past.
Right. Mr. Malik, would you agree with that? And last time you were telling me about this critical mass. Do you think, and today, voting happened in Puri and Cuttack and Bhubaneswar, these are seats that the BJP is hoping to win. What are the things that the BJP got right in Odisha, and what are the challenges for the party?
Look, the challenge remains that, as Professor Shastri said, in a simultaneous election, you don't have dramatically different results. I mean, I can think of Andhra Pradesh, the United Andhra Pradesh in 2009, when the Congress won 3 out of 4 Lok Sabha seats, but just about won a majority in the assembly. So that is the closest approximation we can think of. The BJP is certainly hoping to win a clutch of Lok Sabha seats in Odisha. Both in Odisha and Bengal, it faces formidable local politicians. Naveen Patnaik and Mamata Banerjee, who remain popular. Just as Narendra Modi is popular across the country, they are popular chief ministers, credible chief ministers in their states. So to completely eradicate them or efface them or wipe them out will be very, very difficult.
Right.
But I do think the BJP fancies its chances of winning a clutch of seats,
right,
and adding to its numbers in Odisha to make up for potential losses in states in Western India.
Absolutely.
So the results of the assembly election could be very different, okay, because unseating Naveen Patnaik, well, it's not impossible, but I'd be surprised if it happens.
Right.
Moving to Bengal,
Yes.
which is right next door. Again, Bengal is. The BJP is defending 20 seats, 18 that it won and 2 which the Adhikari family holds, which have come. Now, frankly, if it holds those 20, it should be happy, because Mamata Banerjee and the Trinamool Congress remain formidable. They're not going to lose beyond a certain number. They will still win their 20, at least on a bad day they'll win 20 seats.
Right.
So it's a tough fight. Both these states offer a tough fight, but I think there is space for the BJP, especially in the Lok Sabha election, to gain a bit in Odisha.
That's a very important point. We're also joined by Gopal Krishna Agarwal, the spokesperson of the BJP, and Shama Mohammad, spokesperson of the Congress party. Thank you so much for joining me on this show. Shama, to you first. There was one point that the Prime Minister made in his rally Northeast Delhi, I think last week, where he said that a family that ruled Delhi for 4 generations is not even fighting on 4 seats. Has there been acceptance in the party that, it is finally a junior partner in the Aam Aadmi Party, Congress alliance that voted today? How confident are you? Because 7 seats of Delhi have voted for Narendra Modi, overwhelmingly in the last 10 years in the Lok Sabha seats.
Okay, before I get to that, you must tell your producers to be more organized. They ask you to get in at 8:30. They don't let you in till 8:40. Then they start calling us frantically.
Okay.
So please warn those producers to behave more professionally, because this is going on all the time. They just keep locking the Zoom. You should know it, Vasudha. So please, you have to tell them. Now, in terms of Delhi, there are 4 seats, you said, and we are fighting 3. Suppose if we were fighting 5, for example, and we've given them 2, what would you tell is that Congress is acting as the big brother. Here, what we did is we have sacrificed seats such that even in Maharashtra, we're fighting 17, and the Shiv Sena, Uddhav Thackeray has more seats, because we at the end want the alliance to work We want to defeat the fascist forces, and we want to win this India Alliance election, this election of 24. So we are ready to do a lot of sacrifices. We want, no issues amongst the alliance partners, and we are trying to move it smoothly. Unlike the Bharatiya Janata Party, which finishes off alliances and divides them in their parties are divided into two. I mean, how they use the Lok Janshakti Party during the assembly elections, where they divided them into two. They put him against the JDU, their own partner. They put LJP wherever the JDU were to reduce the number of seats. We don't do all sorts of things. We are very clear with our alliance partners, whether it's the DMK, whether it is the NCP, whether it's RJD, whether it's Samajwadi. We want to defeat them, and we are very clear about it. And unlike the Prime Minister of India, my leader Rahul Gandhi focuses on the present issues, which is Berozgari, unemployment. What we are having is a price rise, the safety of women, the most important issues. Whereas the Prime Minister calls the opposition mujra kar raha hai. I mean, is this the language which behoves the Prime Minister of India? I mean, I'm shocked, Vasudha, that these are the language used by the Prime Minister of India. And I really want to ask the BJP spokesperson, why is he not talking about the development work? That is the question. We're calling the mujra a term which is,
Okay, Mr. Agarwal, would you like to respond to that?
Day in and day out, he makes these comments.
Yes. Mr. Agarwal, would you like to respond to that? And there's also this allegation by the opposition that the BJP is constantly responding and talking only about the Congress manifesto and not really talking about issues such as price rise or unemployment.
I would like to not respond to what Shama said. I'll tell what BJP has said. One thing only I'll say, that if Congress had sacrificed in 2004, India would not have seen the last 10 years from 4 to 14, where everything went down. From the inflation rose high, GDP went down, the way bank NPAs went high, the reputation of India went down. From 4 to 14, we were stagnated at the 11th position in the global GDP ranking. So from there in 14,
I mean, what is he talking about?
2014. No, you just keep your mouth shut. I am talking. I interpret it.
Continue,
so
sir.
From 14 to 24, every economic parameter, whether it is inflation under control, GDP growth rate is fine, infrastructure is growing, India's reputation across the world has seen a marked difference. The way COVID was handled under the Prime Minister and way the other economies of the world and countries have suffered from COVID, the way we have come out of that. So the thing is the space technology, the mobile technology, the manufacturing. So the way the public delivery system has improved, the leakages, corruption, the way banks have strengthened, the way, see how public sector undertakings have performed. See them. The valuation of public sector undertakings, some of the undertakings have increased by 400 times. And these are the issues which are for the people.
Okay.
And now they talk about what Prime Minister
Okay, Shama, last word from you, because clearly there is an impression. Okay, there is at least the BJP's narrative. There is the BJP's narrative that, Narendra Modi stands for delivery and implementation of schemes. Do you think the Congress has been able to put forward something? Shama, please.
Yeah, so
it is economic
just
growth
two things.
and development of the country.
He gave a lot of data to us. I just want to ask him, if everybody is doing so well, why are we giving free food to 80 crore people in this country? We are 140 crore. Out of that, more than 50% of people we are giving free food. Why does the CMIE in December says there's unemployment of 10.5%? Why is the pinch of price rise eating into people? Why is foreign direct investment removed from this country as best as last week if we are doing so well? These are the questions which are very pertinent. Why are Indians leaving this country? And why do we see the sort of poverty where you are giving 80 crore people free food. You're saying everything is well and done with. You said that we will make it a 5 trillion economy in 2022. And you're going to double the income of farmers in 2022, which you have not done. Now, Modi ji has gone from 47 to 1,000 years from now. See, we all know that he's lying, and we have a fantastic manifesto where we are going to give you 30 lakh central government jobs, which you have just kept aside. We are going to give it out to them, and out of that 50% is to women. We are going to, as soon as we come in, we are going to be giving jobs. That's the most important. Reduce this price rise, remove the GST from all food like yogurt, dal, chawal, everything. We are with the people of this country. We are not somebody who stays in 80 lakh per day hotel room bills is not what this. It's the Prime Minister of India who's paying that.
Right. Thank you, Shama, for joining us. Thank you, Mr. Agarwal. Thank you, Mr. Malik. And thank you, Professor Shastri, for joining us. I'm sorry, I'm out of time. For 58 constituencies voted today as part of the 6th phase of Lok Sabha elections. The most interesting phase is coming up on the 1st of June. And in 10 days from now, we'll know which party is forming the government. 59.06% has been the voter turnout till today. Of course, we'll have to wait for the final figures by the ECI. Time for a short break. More news and updates on the other side.